President Donald Trump has warned Iran that time is of the essence as peace negotiations between Tehran and Washington appear to be deadlocked. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "For Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence." Trump's warning coming after Pakistan's Interior Minister met Iran's president in Tehran. Mohsin Naqvi says he hopes Pakistan can bring the negotiations to a successful conclusion. President Masoud Pezeshkian has praised neighboring countries, including Pakistan and Iraq, for not allowing the US to launch attacks from their territories. Al-Miqdad al-Ruhayd reports now from the Iranian capital with more on Trump's warning that the clock is ticking for Iran to make a deal.
What we are seeing right now is a new round of a very sharp and threatening language from the United States President Donald Trump on his Truth Social, saying that the clock is ticking for Iran and Tehran must move fast or face consequences. This type of statements and messages are being received here with a very clear message of defiance rather than concessions. The Iranian spokesman for armed forces speaking to journalists on Sunday afternoon about this repeated threat, saying that that would only lead to what he described a new round of crushing, a new or severe blowing or severe blows on the United States if there's any new round of confrontation. And he went further than that, saying that if there's any new aggression on his country, that would only be met with what he called a new offensive and unexpected scenarios against the United States assets and bases in the region. So the tone from both sides right now is increasingly hardened. But from Tehran perspective, this is a very much of deterrence posture, signaling readiness rather than compromise. At the same time, what we are seeing right now, the diplomatic window is narrowing further and further as the rhetoric from both sides continue to escalate. Al-Miqdad al-Ruhayd, Al Jazeera, Tehran.
Saudi Arabia has reported 3 drones were intercepted after entering its airspace. The Ministry of Defense says the drones came across the border from Iraq and were destroyed. Riyadh warns the military has the right to respond at the appropriate time and place and will take all measures to defend Saudi sovereignty. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates also says it has the right to respond after it was targeted by 3 drones originating from its western border. One hit near the Barakah nuclear power plant, causing a fire in an electrical generator. No injuries were reported, and the International Atomic Energy Agency says radiation levels are normal. The UAE Defense Ministry says it's investigating who might be behind the attacks. An advisor to the president says it represents a dangerous escalation. Natasha Turak is a journalist in Dubai and says the plant is a key component of the UAE's energy infrastructure.
The Barakah plant is really like a crowning achievement for the UAE. It went into full commercial operation in 2021. It has 4 reactors, all of which went into operation, the 4th reactor in 2024. And it's the first and the only nuclear power plant in the whole Arab world. It was a $20 billion project built with the help of South Korea, the UAE and South Korea jointly, and it provides about 25% of the UAE's electricity, as well as about 57% of domestic household power. The Barakah plant also plays a key role in the UAE's climate and net zero by 2050 goals. Now, the UAE already partakes in what nuclear energy experts call the gold standard of civilian nuclear partnerships, which is the US-UAE 123 agreement, or for peaceful civilian nuclear energy cooperation. So this means that the UAE can receive nuclear materials, equipment, and know-how from the US while precluding it from developing dual-use technology by barring things like uranium enrichment and fuel reprocessing. So it's really been kind of upheld as an example for the world in how to develop a safe and peaceful nuclear energy program. And it is also, of course, part of the UAE's vital power infrastructure and just the latest in what has been a series of attacks on other parts of the country's energy infrastructure, in particular oil and gas facilities.
Earlier, I spoke to foreign policy analyst Adam Clements and asked how the attacks will affect Gulf states' relations with the United States.
As a result, Gulf states are definitely in a hard place right now, trying to understand where it can go for its historical security guarantees and umbrella with the United States. And maybe in the past for some states where this became more transactional before the Iran conflict, maybe it'll push them more towards the U.S., or it could push them away and become even more transactional.
Now, Adam, let's have a look at actually the war now and where we are. I mean, it does seem like despite Donald Trump posting that time is, or should I say the clock is ticking, that we are in effect in a stalemate currently. And what will it take for something to give here?
I think that both sides have to be able to declare victory in some way. I think that Iran can already declare that victory, at least as much as it hasn't lost, and it's been able to stand up to the United States and Israel, and the regime hasn't fallen. For the United States, President Trump probably does need to find some face-saving way to declare victory. I think this had occurred in the past. The administration gave a lot of political space at the beginning and throughout the conflict to try to give it space to declare victory. And so I think the problem now is, has the administration, has it passed a point of no return? Is it being forced into at least responding, given the amount of rhetoric, given the failed diplomacy? Is it going to feel like it has to respond to save space to some type of military operation, be it an air campaign for a few days or a week, and then it can declare some type of victory? The problem is, of course, perception or political rhetoric versus reality could be entirely different things. And I think the big thing here that we should watch is the continued discreet or overt public messaging from Gulf states, because without a doubt, Gulf states have suffered tremendously economically, and not just Gulf states, but other states that require or need or are reliant on Gulf oil petroleum flows in Far East and South Asia.
There's a body of thought, Adam, that Trump will likely absorb pressure and just really soak it up, as it were, and wait for Trump's political calendar to become more difficult for him.
Rashad, I think this is right. There, of course, an international focus always has some type of reflection or some type of roots in domestic politics. And so you're absolutely right that the price of a gallon of gasoline or inflation could certainly hurt Republicans and his supporters and his base as we're going into U.S. elections that take place every 2 years, and out of cycle presidential elections here in the United States. That certainly could happen, as well as there are definitely fissures and cracks in the MAGA, the Make America Great Again establishment, or any of his supporters, as far as trying to understand or being frustrated as why is the administration gone about in some type of war that seemingly doesn't have clear objectives or political objectives and what they want to achieve.